A guy walks into a restaurant, and the owner of the restaurant, the Jew, feeds him chazer. Says the Gemara, it's because the man didn't wash his hands. Some say he fed him an avela, some say he fed him chazer, because chazer is actually more chamer than an avela. Chazer has two yisurim. It's a tummy animal, plus it's an avela. The Gemara goes on to say that not washing mayim achronim caused somebody to either divorce his wife or kill his wife. The story was with Kedar, the famous story. The Chacham came to his house, they slept there, and they entrusted him with their purse of money. And the next day, Kedar says, I don't know what you're talking about. I never received a purse from you. They noticed that on his mustache were leftovers from his lunch. So they went to his wife and they said, Kedar told us that you have our purse, please give it back. And as a sign, he said, tell my wife that for lunch you served me lentils. So she gave them the purse, and when he found out Kedar, he either killed her or he divorced her. So you see, it's important to wash mayim achronim. Now the Gemara says there's a difference between chamei ha'ur and chamei tveria. Chamei ha'ur is water boiled up that was originally cold. Chamei tveria is natural hot springs. The difference is that natural hot springs never had a shasa kosher. From their existence, they never were cold. They were always hot. Says the Gemara, so if you were to heat up water as a machlokes for netilas yadayim, Chizkiah says you're not allowed to use hot water for netilas yadayim. Rabbi Yochanan brings a raya from Rabbi Gamliel, who saw by his father Rabbeinu HaKadosh, the author of the Mishnayos, who was extreme tzaddik, who was known for his tzidkus, and he used to be makbid to eat chulin b'tahara as if they were kachim. Rabbi Gamliel says that I know for a fact that kol gdolei galil, all the gdolim in galil used to use hot water for netilas yadayim, and therefore Rabbi Yochanan says you're allowed to use hot water for netilas yadayim. However, chamei tveria, which are natural hot springs, never had a shasa kosher. So, and also water that is not ra'ui for a behema, animals don't drink from it. It's that disgusting. The halacha is as follows: you could use the waters as a mikveh. You went into the waters where they are, you're yoytei. So certainly, if you put your hands into the water, you dunk them in. So that's enough for netilas yadayim, for tvilas yadayim. However, if you were to take the water out of there with a kli, the kuli alma, it's asur. So where's the machlokes? The machlokes says if one made a channel off of these hot springs, and he has water in there. Now the water itself in the channel is not 40 sa, it's not kosher for mikvah, but it's connected to a much larger source of water. The Rebbe says it's asur because I make a gzera that somebody might come and might pull water out of there with a kli and use it as a kli, and that's asur. And Chizkiah says it's okay, you could be toivel. Netilas yadayim that we do today for hamoitzi, for chulin, why do we do it? So the Gemara says it's because of srach truma. We want kohanim to be used to washing their hands for kachim, and that is a chiyuv. So therefore, Chacham instituted gzera that everybody is chayiv to wash, even Yisraelim, and even if you're only eating chulin. And the Gemara says it's mitzvah l'shmaya divrei chachamim because it says in the pasuk loisasum min hadavar shegidulcha yamin osmal. It's a mitzvah to listen to everything Chacham say. Rashi learns it's a continuation of the first shot that the Chacham instituted gzera for srach truma. Taisus learned that it's a new gzera. Chacham said you should wash your hands so they're clean before you eat. Rava says that it's a mitzvah to listen to Rabbi Elazar ben Aroich. Rabbi Elazar ben Aroich says there's an actual source in the Torah for netilas yadayim. Not that it's a chiyuv midaraisa, but it's an asmachta midaraisa. It says in the pasuk b'negat to Azav, it says v'yodav loy shotaf, that the Zav didn't wash his hands. You see a source that you're supposed to wash your hands. What about washing your hands before you eat fruit or any other food other than bread? Says the Gemara that at best it's a reshus, it's certainly not a mitzvah. You're allowed to if you want to, yet Rav Nachman says it's asur to wash your hands. Why? There's a concept that if there's no halachic reason for you to wash your hands, and you pretend that you're a big tzaddik and you're doing something above halacha, that's haughtiness and that's asur. I just want to point out that today, la halacha, if you eat fruit, for instance, you wash grapes and the grapes are wet while you eat them, la halacha, you're mechuyev to wash your hands without a bracha. Unless you're a gronik like myself, you go by minhag agra, then you would make al netilas yadayim on wet fruit today. Now the Gemara says we can learn 3 halachas from a story that was witnessed by Rabbi Bar Chana between Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi. They were offered a basket of fruit and they had a meal, and they didn't even invite Rabbi Bar Chana to participate with them. Says the Gemara, they didn't wash their hands and they went off and they benched by themselves. So you see 3 things. First of all, you don't have to wash your hands when you eat fruit if they're not wet, and you don't do zimun on fruit, because if you would have to do zimun with 3 people, then they would have invited Rabbi Bar Chana to participate in the meal. And third of all, when you go bench, you bench on your own. As long as you're a Talmid Chacham, you know how to read, you bench yourself, unless you want to be moitzi and amaharetz, a bur. Netilas yadayim for chulin, says the Gemara, there's 3 parts of the hand that are a possibility. So if it's for Chullin, says the Gemara, it goes up until the middle of your fingers. And the reason is because the whole point we said before is for Truma, that Kohanim should be used to Truma. So we're not so makbid, so it's just a part of the fingers that touch the food. For Truma itself, it's up until the knuckles. Shmuel says, I want to be machmer, I want to say that even when you wash your hands for Hamaitzi, it should be up until the knuckles. And Rav Sheshes says, I want to be mekel, even for Truma, it goes up until the middle fingers. La halacha, today, bizmanenu, it seems like from our Gemara, at the end of the sugya, that it's up until the knuckles. And that's what Rashi brings. However, the Shulchan Aruch paskins that in our days, we should wash until our wrist, as the Gemara says that for Truma, for Kiddush Yadayim v'Raglayim, goes up until the wrist. So the Shulchan Aruch paskins that we should wash until our wrist, unless we don't have enough water, then we should go up until the knuckles. Any chatzitza that ruins it for a tefillah in the mikvah, midrabanan it is ruboy ve'eni makbid miut umakbid. In other words, if you have a small amount of soil on your hand and you really care about it, you want to get rid of it, so that will ruin the netilas yadayim as it ruins the tefillah. And if it's 51% of your hand and you don't even care about it, then it's also a chatzitza, it ruins the netilas yadayim just as it ruins a tefillah in the mikvah. And finally, the last halacha for today, Rav says that one can wake up in the morning, wash his hands, and make a tonight to himself and say, this washing of my hands right now is going to last me for the entire day, as long as he doesn't soil his hands during the day. Rav Avina either said, I agree with Rav, or he said that what Rav said is only in a place where there's not enough water, and therefore you can make such a tnai, but in other places where they have plenty of water, you cannot make such a tnai. Have a wonderful day.